Hello, beautiful friends. It's me, Alicia Hashem, and I'm so happy to be here with you for our weekly check-in and our marvelous Monday journey and exploration. So I just want to ask all of you that are here with me now to let's take a deep breath together and just get centered in this moment and on this day, and just draw in a really deep breath into your belly and just exhale. And again, just breathe in and just draw in your love and light from the cosmos and from the earth. And breathe it into your belly, into your pelvic bowl. Just expand this hip, kind of lower belly area. And exhale. Just let your breath move through your whole body. And if you can, if you're not driving, just put one hand on your heart and the other hand on your abdomen area, and just kind of create this circular energy with the magnetism that are in your hands. And just breathe into your heart. Breathe into your feet. If you need to do a little bit of tapping, like we did last week, tap your collarbone and just say, "Be here now." And when you exhale, you can just let it go. Let go of any nervous tension, anxiety. Let go of any exhaustion or fatigue that you might be holding on to. Just let it go for a moment. And so as we're getting our week started, I want to ask you to take a look at your wellness, your overall wellness approach for this week. And I want you to just choose one area that really needs your focus right now. So maybe you could choose an area of the body, like maybe some, leg movements, or boosting your immune system, or focusing on your digestive system. But maybe you could also choose an area of your life that you really want to just kind of improve upon and nurture and love up. And I just want to invite you to really go to wherever you know there's a weakness, like especially if it's something that runs in your family. Like maybe it could be a mindset or like some kind of limiting belief, or maybe it could be like a, relationship situation, like friendships, connection with your own sensuality and your sexuality, or maybe just eating better. So for myself, my big focus this week is to really bring in movement and exercise. So I work a lot when I sit down, and it causes a lot of postural issues. So, there's a lot of areas in health and wellness that we can focus on, but just for this week, let's just go to that target area that really needs help. And right now, just make a little note for yourself. What activity are you going to do to nourish that part of yourself? Is it going to be some kind of physical activity? Is it going to be some kind of herbs that you take, or dietary choices that you make? So just write a little note, put it on your Post-it note this week so that you don't forget, and that you remember, okay, right now is my time to practice my dance moves, or to drop into some yoga or meditation. Or perhaps you're focusing on your business. So then you're just going to want to make a note that you're going to carve out at least 30 minutes a day focusing on this area of your life. And so with this in mind, one of the topics that I really want to focus on to really enhance this overall feeling of wellness is the immune system. And I'm going to share a little document here with you for those of you who can see the visual. And so the immune system is basically, it runs through your whole body. So we have different lymph nodes in the that run throughout the body. And really quick, why I want to talk about the immune system is today the theme is boundaries within boundaries within boundaries, okay? So before I get into this slide, let me just ask you, are you experiencing anything in your life where your boundaries are being crossed in some way? Or maybe perhaps you feel like your energy is leaking out. Some of the astrological cycles that are happening right now are going to really bring some of these things to the forefront of where we might be having our personal boundaries of wellness being crossed. And this can be in so many different ways. Like it could be, other people that are crossing your boundaries. It could be your own self crossing your boundaries by, agreeing to do things that you really don't feel a solid yes about. And I don't want you to beat yourself up if you're feeling like, okay, wow, all these times in my life, my boundaries have been crossed. Because if you really look at it, there's probably been a lot of times throughout your life where your boundaries have been crossed. And even as a child, when our boundaries were crossed, we weren't really able to speak up for ourselves because, our parents were in control and we were, being watched and cared over for society. But now as adults, sometimes we take that bad habit with us where we don't have those solid boundaries for ourselves. And so it's really important to take command in that way. And so a lot of times when our boundaries are getting crossed and it continues to happen over the course of years or even, lifetimes where say maybe your grandmother had poor boundaries and therefore your mom maybe had that and then now you have that, right? These things really get passed on to us genetically. And so one of the big symbols in our body of boundaries is the immune system. The immune system is literally this guardian, this guard that watches over our body and protects us from, invaders and things that are really going to try to kind of cross through into our sacred temple and into our sacred threshold. And so if you struggle with boundary issues, or perhaps you're feeling like, wow, there's some energy leaks going on in my life and in my body, you can really start to fortify those energetic boundaries by reinforcing your physical boundaries. And so there can be different, illnesses that kind of arise in the body. And I just want to show you a little diagram of it because it's really staggering. So there's all these different parts of the body that can be affected by basically our immune system not working. And I looked at this chart and it looks like every single body system could potentially be threatened. So joint pain, pancreas issues, digestive issues, reproductive issues with our reproductive organs, if there's imbalances in these areas that are causing us to not be well, to have some kind of like infectious situation going on, whether it could be like a bacterial thing or just like a seasonal threat, right? Or it could be something more serious like a viral infection. It could also just be, different issues with malfunction. And so what can kind of happen with our body is we can get sick if our immune system goes down, but we could also develop an autoimmune disease. And this is basically where our own immune system attacks our own body. And to me, this is this huge symbol of like, wow, we're attacking our own self, where sometimes the boundaries get let down. And so the immune system is kind of like, okay, well, I guess you don't need me. And then it all, starts to weaken all these different areas of the body. And so it's very important for us to fortify our guardian, to reinforce that, to really strengthen these boundaries, these energetic boundaries, these physical boundaries with people. And it's a lifelong process because, as I mentioned earlier, we inherit a lot of the boundaries that we have from our mothers and from our grandmothers. And as we know, there has been a lot of women's like suppression And, you know, even like with our grandmothers, like they weren't allowed to like vote really, or like go get careers and work. They just had to like live this life that was kind of carved out for them. So they never really got to have that boundary. And even if you go back into like history, like with the burning of the witches like throughout Europe and all of the medicine people being persecuted, you know, and the takeover of kind of the like patriarchy society that we know it, there's been a lot of boundary crossing. And I just want to bring this to all of our attention because, you know, we're here to do this work in our lifetime, to strengthen our boundaries, to really take command of our reality, of our life, to, you know, rebuild some of these structures for not only ourselves, but just for others, and to really be of service to this world, to help this healing continue, and this liberation and this movement to continue. So some of the essential oils that you can bring in to boost your boundaries, some of my favorites are On Guard, blend, oregano, you know, oils like melaleuca. These are very stimulating to the immune system, especially if there's like bugs or pathogens or infectious situations going on. This is going to really prevent those harmful influences from taking root. And it's the same to be said on an energetic level. So if you struggle with like feelings of anxiety or not enoughness, or, you know, you're feeling like there's people crossing your boundaries or whatever, you know, how that's coming up, where you're feeling invaded basically, or a feeling that's less than ideal is possessing you, then you're going to want to grab like your melaleuca oil. This is one I always keep on hand. Melaleuca is literally the oil of energetic boundaries. And this is something that I've struggled with my entire life. So rubbing melaleuca on my solar plexus in the morning to get the day started is a really great decision, and I will reuse it throughout the day. You can rub oils on your lymph nodes. There's a lot of really great lymph nodes in your throat and in this thyroid area here. So this is a hot point to, you want to be careful with like oregano and On Guard, maybe dilute those ones. And then some other oils that you'll want to consider to protect those boundaries are nervous system, like calming oils. So it's not just about reducing like the risk of infection, it's also like getting your nervous system to just relax and calm down. So for situations like that, I would use lavender essential oil, as well as balance. And you can rub those on the chest right here into your respiratory system. Sometimes I'll just rub a little on the palm of the hand like this, and you just sit there and draw in 3 really deep breaths. Just breathing that essential oil into the airway, which is then going to diffuse that into your bloodstream. The skin is another area of our immune system. So sometimes when I really need to boost my energetic boundaries after a shower, take a little bit of your favorite oil and just rub it on your chakra points before you put your body oil on, and then put your body oil on over the top of that. And that's just going to create a nice protective barrier, which is kind of nice during the seasonal changes that are happening here in the Northern Hemisphere. You know, the air pressure starts to change. There's lots of bacteria forming for the seasonal shift. So it's really beneficial to, you know, get these energetic protecting oils on your body, just kind of keep your electromagnetic frequencies in tune so you don't go under. And the other reason for like balance is sleep, right? Because sleep is a huge part of repairing, self-care, nurturing, loving yourself, letting your body just have that time to heal. You can also rub the oils on, as I mentioned, the stomach or the intestines and the abdomen. And they say 70% of our immune system is in the digestive system. So if there is serious situations like autoimmune function or a lot of those weird illnesses like fibromyalgia, a lot of times taking targeted digestive support is a really great way to just get the immune system to get back on track, to get our energetic boundaries back on track, you know, and the oils and the plants that we bring in will help with that. And then it's also important to do that work. So set those boundaries, use your voice. So as we look from some of those body diagrams I just showed you, your immune system pretty much goes from your throat all the way down to your abdomen, or like your reproductive organs. And so what this means is like speaking your truth, speaking your heart is really going to boost your immune system. There's this direct channel, and it's really like all of our chakras too, right? It's like following your gut instinct, noticing those red flags when they start to pop up, and really paying attention to that, listening to that inner intuitive voice to draw those boundaries. And so I just want to take a look at the chat here and see, oh yes, everyone on guard. Yes, oh my goodness. I love what we're saying just about the On Guard mouthwash and like using that to like kind of help you speak your truth and do it in a way that's so true. I do that a lot with clove as well, because I don't like to speak from that reactional state. So I want to draw, the reason why boundaries have been coming up so strongly right now is because of this astrological cycle that we're in. So we're just emerging from a new moon, and last week's new moon was very challenging. The moon was in Libra, and it's not a very comfortable position for the moon. It's going to bring up a lot of like issues around balance and like possible insecurities. You know, some things are going to be brought to the surface from our feminine side, and it's been rather uncomfortable. And at the same time that we had our new moon, we also have Venus going retrograde. And so Venus is a really beautiful planet that's all about your love affair with life. So we're going to kind of like shift this area, like where we're like, okay, we're having boundaries, because what's really important is how you're loving your life and how you're living life. And Venus going retrograde is going to bring up a lot of issues around self-care and nurturing yourself. So this is a time, if you're super busy, it's going to be really important for you to make sure you carve out some of your extra time that you need to do some self-care activities. So I just want to ask you to start, take a little note right now. What do you do for self-care? What's one of your go-to things that just makes you fall in love with life? So I want you to write down this sentence and fill in the blank for yourself. And so the sentence is, I fall in love with life again and again when I fill in the blank. So I'll type it into the chat and I'll repeat it again. I fall in love with life again and again when I blank. So for me, one of the things that helps me fall in love with life is music, like creating music and just turning it on and just kind of taking a moment to put these headphones on. I shut out the external world, and it's all me, and there's no rules. I can do whatever I want, and it doesn't matter if anybody likes it or not. It's just like this time for me to just let out. And if I'm going through feelings of intensity, like if, you know, issues with boundaries being crossed or whatever, you know, are coming up, or I'm exhausted, then turning to this music is huge for me. Or even if I'm not creating music, like playing loud music and just bumping some bass and turning it up really loud is this way that just makes me feel pumped up about life, and it makes me fall in love with life again. So it's really important to have these activities. Like another one that makes me fall in love with life is like getting together with all of you here on this call and like just connecting with like this beautiful community in a really intentional way. And so these things all go on the list because this is going to be a part of this Venus energy. And so I just want to share some highlights about Venus and what this means. Like, this planet is going retrograde, so this is going to stir up a lot of our instincts around self-love and loving others, as well as our instinct to create beauty and art and healing. So Venus is this place in our chart that represents where you fall in love with yourself. And as a consequence of being in love with yourself, then other people, the people that are in your village, are going to fall in love with you too. So that's what it's about. You can't give away and you can't receive what you don't already have inside of you. So it really all starts with this foundation of where you are this beautiful flower, and you'll bloom again and again and again all throughout your life in all these different cycles if you express this part of yourself that is Venus and the symbol of it. And so as a consequence of this, energy of the Aphrodite mythology, love is going to flow really easily, and so do relationships with other people. So as the retrograde is a little bit more of kind of a challenge, kind of how Chelsea talked about where sometimes we draw cards and they're upside down, that's what retrograde is. It's like the reverse of it. So sometimes this will bring up narcissistic relationships. A lot of times they say Venus retrograde is not really a good time to like start a new relationship. I don't like to get super auspicious, but this could be more of an important time just to connect with your own self-love and really letting, your creativity and the things that bring you pleasure just come forward and say yes to it. So Venus is this principle of love, and it's this very basic recognition that love and creativity are deeply wedded to pleasure. And as women, Venus retrograde can bring up a lot of triggers for us because Venus is the feminine principle of pleasure. It's female fertility. So if you're feeling a lot of challenges come up, this could be like your inner feminine voice kind of screaming like that it wants to come forward and it needs space and recognition in your life. And on a business perspective, like as women who are businesswomen, this is important for us to bring forward because we're finding ourselves in a world that has been created by a man's perspective of work. And even for a lot of men, this kind of lifestyle like does not work. This Western model of kind of like selling your hours for a paycheck and work, and kind of, this whole mentality is much different than like the feminine principle of what is pleasing or what is progress. So Venus embodies your ability to be graceful, abundant, and this includes financial abundance. So I want to invite you this week to look at your birth chart and look at where your Venus placement is in your chart. And wherever this area is, this is the part of your chart where you're making love to life. And I can just really quickly show you, I'm just going to do like a quick little brief guide to show you how to pull up your birth chart. So it's really easy. So there's a lot of different sites out there, but I've used astro.com like since I was in high school for drawing the birth chart. So I just recommend going to astro.com, and you can set up your own little like profile. So you can see I have got my profile here, and then what you'll want to do is you go to this screen where it says free horoscope, and then from free horoscope, then you go to extended chart selection. And this will give you the opportunity to put in your birth date, and you need to know what time you were born as well as what location. And so I've got my, I've got my thing here. Hold on. And so I like to look at sidereal astrology, but if you're used to traditional Western astrology, then just keep it on tropical. You don't really have to edit much stuff in here, but what it'll do is it'll ask you like to enter in your name, your birthday, the hour you were born, the country, and once you enter that in, then it'll take you to this page here, and you can just click here to show the chart, and then it's going to pull up your birth chart. And so Venus is this symbol right here that looks like an ankh from ancient Egypt. And so then this is going to be an area of your life that you're making love to. So once you look that up, I want you to text me. This is your little assignment. Text me what sign your Venus is in, and I'm going to send you like a little meditation for you to kind of like focus on for this week ahead. So if you have questions about how to do that, just let me know. I'm happy to help you. And so I'll just give you, like, tell you a little more about me. So with my Venus, in traditional astrology, it's in Scorpio. And so my Venus meditation is, how can my charisma become a meaningful gift for those swayed by the power of my beauty or grace? And I love meditating on that because I feel like it's a reflection of my business and kind of how I've, used the power of my creativity to create something meaningful in my life. And this is my full-time job, and I did it. And if I can do it, you can do it. And it's all about connecting with that Venusian creative principle that is within us. And it's a powerful feminine storehouse of health, abundance, fertility, creativity. And the beauty of it is it starts with loving yourself and connecting with this place of ease and grace. So really quickly, I want to guide you through a little visualization to connect with your Venus energy and to bring about balance during this retrograde cycle. So if you can, please just close your eyes for a minute. Let's draw in a couple deep breaths. Just tap your forehead really quick, tap the top of your brain. Feel your pelvic bowl and the earth underneath you. And I'm going to repeat some phrases to you. And so I just want you to let these phrases absorb into your body and notice what comes up for you when I say them and really feel into them. So just imagine this. Imagine that what I'm saying is true. I am in touch with the grace and beauty that flows through me. And this is what it's like. What is it like when you're in touch with the beauty and the grace that flows through you? Everything flows together. Everything you need shows up at exactly the right time. All the right people show up. You find yourself noticing the beauty all around you. What does that look like to connect with the grace and the beauty that flows through you? I know that with ease, the best of me can rise to any occasion. And this is what it looks like. What does it look like when the best of you rises to the occasion? What do you look like when you are operating at your absolute best, this heart center feeling open and confident? What did it look like the first time that you fell in love? How did that feel, that place of soft vulnerability? What does it look like when you fall in love? You feel that childlike innocence of pure attraction. Now I want you to think of someone that you love now. Think of someone who you love now who also loves you. and feel that deep pleasure and recognition that you share that love and that care for each other. And just notice what that looks like, that type of connection of just truly just showing up for each other, adoring each other, admiring, loving one another. Just notice how that feels in your body. What sensation does that bring up? Does it soften your heart? Does it make you feel excited and more relaxed? Now I want you to see a scene in your mind. If you can, close your eyes and just imagine a scene of great natural beauty out in the nature world, like a rose garden or the ocean or a mountain range. And as you notice that, you see your own presence growing equally beautiful. What does that feel like? What does that feel like to just notice your own perfection of your body, its balance, its beauty, its attractiveness, and the beauty of nature, the trees or the flowers? That sacred feeling within you. Just notice, what does that feel like? That's where you're coming home to Venus and all of these places that we're connecting with. Now I want you to see that you are beauty and grace and love finding a new form. And what does that look like? What does it look like with your beauty and your grace and the form that you bring showing up? What does it look like when that part of you is given expression? That part of you that is so graceful and beautiful and easy and a delight. Notice how it softens the hard edges, even on the roughest day. It could just be the slightest movement of your hands or your feet. Venus is your love affair with life, and it inspires each of these scenes. So I invite you to come back now. We've connected with this deep place of eros and love and that Venusian energy. And I just want to highlight one quick thing before I pass the torch over for our card reading. And so since we've kind of connected in about this whole, need to connect with what we love and our passions, then what I would like to do is kind of bring you into what is your schedule, what is your monthly and weekly plan to kind of support your daily activities that you need to get done so that you have more time to connect with the things that bring you pleasure and love and joy, and you can go sit under that friendly tree or go sit by the lazy river or whatever it is that you need to do to bring this about. But we still got to get stuff done, right? So I'm just going to pull up this really helpful guide. So what you're going to want to do to kind of set yourself straight so that your love and beauty and grace can flow easily is to set a schedule for yourself. And setting a schedule is another form of boundaries, because if you don't set a schedule and if you work for yourself, then you're going to be a mess. You're either going to work nonstop or you're going to work distractedly and you're not really going to hit your target. So setting a schedule is a huge first step in setting that boundary for yourself so that you can have that feminine, strong principle come through in your life. So first you want to set like a monthly plan. Like, what is your monthly target? And so first you want to identify what are your income producing targets. What are activities that bring you income? And just write down 5 top key activities that actually bring money into your home. And so, it's easy for us to be busy and just be distracted busy. Like, for example, you could just be busy cleaning your house. Is that an income producing target? No. So that's not on the critical list of activities that need to be done. Or maybe you're scrolling on social media, commenting on people's posts. That's not necessarily an income producing target. So in my business, new enrollments are an income producing target. Following up with people who I've connected with is an income producing target. And then you can kind of break some of that down, like hosting a class, inputting data from contacts, nourishing my connections with people and really reaching out to those critical folks. So those are indications of income producing targets. And you don't have to put a ton, just put down 5, put down 3, but try to put down more than 1. And then you'll want to put in what is your highest impact, highest priority activities for, this month or this week. And so, you'll have a bunch of different things that are important income producing, but right now you just want to identify like which ones are the most highest impact that have the ability to bring in the most abundance to you. So like for me, hosting a class, doing a Facebook Live, posting to social media, those are some examples of some high impact activities. Sending an email campaign, checking messages, like following, returning all the messages through all the different platforms. So you want to write down, 5 things that are a high priority. And so the next thing that you'll want to focus on are what are the must-dos that need to be achieved this week to support a monthly goal. So one of my things is to post these recordings up onto my YouTube channel, right? Because that's going to support my goal of sharing like a class or a presentation that I'm doing. Some other things would be like network building, like having meetings with people so that I can make sure that, I'm also bringing in new, fresh supporters and support team for it, because that's a big part of putting content out, right? Is having people to watch it. Another thing that you'll want to check in about is what do you need from others? So this could be an area where you're saying like, hey, I need some assistance, like hire an assistant, do a trade with somebody who can help you input some of the data that you need to, or, perhaps it's your partner, like maybe they can help you cook a meal or wash the dishes, or maybe you need a favor from a friend, like to host an event for you. So just kind of start to think about, you achieving your goals is also, it affects other people. So the more the merrier, right? Like if you can bring in assistance or support, then it's just going to help everything flow easier. It's going to give you more time freedom to focus on what you do well. It's going to give someone else the opportunity to just, help, because it feels good to help people. And it'll just give you a big boost of self-esteem to have that support from others. And then one thing that I just wanted to highlight really quick as well is when you have a planner and you start to set a planner, it's really good to review it, because a lot of times we'll sit here and we'll write it all out. Like I'm telling you this because this is something I'm working on. So that's why I feel comfortable sharing it with you, because I have the worst habit of like creating this like perfect schedule, and then I just don't look at that again. I like just put the notebook away or whatever. And so it's really helpful. Like what I've done is I wrote down these check-in, things on one of my like boards, so that every week I'm looking like, hey, did I stay on task? And if I didn't, why? And not to beat myself up, but just to see like what's not working. I'm also going to look at what sort of personal development tools that I've used throughout this week, and kind of just make a note. Like if it, that's been something that has really been elevating me and taking me to the next level. And if I notice that I'm having a lot of blocks, I usually notice that I wasn't doing my personal development tools. kind of helped me shift the mindset, right? You can review, are you getting the results that you wanted? And you really want to review this on a weekly basis because this is what's going to help you keep your business moving. If you're not getting the results that you want, it's time to go back in and make some tweaks into your schedule, right? Really go to work on setting that boundary so that the energy that you're putting out there is also reciprocating back at you and giving back to you, because that's a huge part of those boundaries. I like to write down my big aha moments, because this is, as we're setting our schedule and taking command of our life, there's a lot of like learning experiences and discoveries, and it's important to record these things and to really journal about it, because it's just going to help your whole process of healing your life, healing your finances, and really seeing the progress that you're making and how far you're coming. And then, of course, really making sure to celebrate your wins. The biggest problem that I see, like as a coach who helps people with health and wellness and for business, is that people set goals and then they don't always achieve it, right? Because we set these like big goals for ourselves, so we're like, yay, we get all excited, and then it doesn't happen. Like we don't hit that mark, and then you like want to quit or give up or start to lose that. And it's like sometimes we just get so focused on this like specific outcome that we forget to look at what went well. Like what wins did you get? Like you showed up, you did the work, you did this, you know. So really look at where your wins happen, like where in your heart did you really feel like, wow, okay, I did this. Like I pushed through this like obstacle and showed up, or I spoke my truth and I used my voice, I made that call, you know, I did that, whatever it is, you know, really celebrate that and drop into that space for yourself. And this is a big part of building your mindset and your belief that you can do this and you are doing this.